And we're recording. Hey, everybody, this is John Battles from Doing AOK.com. And you guys are in for a treat because today is our inaugural, I guess it's a podcast, right? Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't spell podcast. Now here I am doing one. So what we're trying to do is to promote kindness, and these broadcasts are going to be with people and things highlighting the acts of kindness. Today, I have the pleasure of working with Liz Whitney and Jason Henderson, and they're from mentoringwithmusic.org.
Thank you.
And they have a great story to tell you about, and I'm thrilled to have these two as my first guests.
Thank you.
So, welcome, guys. And like I said, this is the first time, so let's just have fun with it and see where it goes. And I'd like to go ahead and start with a question about mentoring with music. Jason, Liz actually turned me on to you and said, you got to hear Jason's story. And I met with him last week. And my gosh, he does have a story. So if you would, Jason, tell us a little bit about your childhood and growing up, the Henderson family, and music, man.
Man. Thanks for having me again, man. And Liz, thanks for turning me on to him. He's a cool guy, and we've been vibing, and let's continue keeping it going. So, man, I'm Jason Henderson from Lima, Ohio. I'm 49 years old, about to hit 50s right around the corner, January 29th. I'm an Aquarius.
So much.
Yeah. So I'm the oldest of 13 kids. My dad is named Shane Henderson, and then my mother, her name is Glennis Ramey. I'll get back to that later. But I'm the oldest of 13 kids, born here in America. First one born here in America from my mom's side of the Caribbean side. I'll get back to that again, too. So I was born number one of 13 kids. We grew up all over Lima, Ohio. Went to Shawnee, learned life, you know what I mean? When I was young, I played in the band at Shawnee High School and played the saxophone. And I'm going to add something to that. So I don't know if you know the guy by the name of Joe Henderson. He's a famous sax player. That is my uncle.
Lima legend, Joe Henderson.
Yes, sir. So that's my uncle, man. But I ended up playing the saxophone, not even knowing that, you know what I mean, till later on in life. So that's kind of a nice connection right there. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing the sax, man. But before that, you know what I'm saying, my dad used to be in a group. He used to sing with a gospel group, kind of like the Temptations. So there was like 5 of them. And, me and my brothers, used to caddy for them and take them to shows and behind the scenes. So I'm learning music with that. And also, when I was young, I was in a group called the Sunshine Kids. That was a little church choir. All of us kids being together. So, we had to sing something.
Oh,
so
sure.
We used to church choir. We used to go to the nursing homes. And one time we went to a nursing home, and they ended up buying my brother a drum set. Yeah, because he used to put his pots and pans together and play them. But they liked us, man. And we had a group called the Sunshine Kids. They bought us a drum set. And from there, we got older, starting to get to gospel hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Me and my brothers and my brother-in-laws start singing and stuff and traveling the world doing gospel hip hop. Literally, we went to Laguna Beach. We went to Jamaica. We went to Texas. We went all over doing gospel hip hop at a young age.
Nice.
Yeah, man. And then like I said, my grandfather, he's from Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know if you're that familiar with that, but that's the last island in the Caribbean. That's down by Venezuela. There's a lot of attention on that right now, actually.
Yes.
What's going on in the world, man. Pray for them. But yeah, my mother is actually from Trinidad and Tobago. And my grandfather, he when he first came here, he worked in a refinery all over the United States, and he ended up in Lima, Ohio. That's kind of funny, man, out of all places. But after that, he was playing music and DJing with the Ohio Players and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the Ohio Players.
Yeah, man, he was DJing.
That's big time.
Guys, going to New York and going all up and down the highway, trying to do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the DJ side kind of came in. But after he got older, you know what I'm saying, he kind of faded away, and I kind of, took over. You know what I'm saying? Kind of followed his path as far as the DJing thing. But all that to say that, man, I've been in music for a long time, man. I've been
Sounds like it.
experienced music from my father, from my grandfather, from my mother, different genres of music, from gospel to reggae to soca music. I don't know if did you ever check out some soca music?
Oh, yes, I did actually. And yeah, I was talking to Jason earlier and he turned me on to soca. And I was saying,
Yeah.
soca, is that like Southern California? What's soca? And, you know, Jason, I looked that up and, you know, I asked you, was that an acronym for something? And when I looked it up, and they said that soca is actually for Soul of Calypso.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know
Uh-huh.
if you knew that, but it's
Yeah.
very drum based and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
reggae, and it's like a little bit of fast reggae, but
Faster, yeah.
interesting
Yes,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah, good
because like I
stuff,
said, we're
man.
down by the Venezuela and they're more kind of Spanishes, so ours sped up, you know what I mean? Because we're only like 9 miles away from Venezuela.
Wow.
Oh, is it that close? I didn't
We're
know
that
that.
close. On a clear day, you can see him.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, I've been in music for a long time, man. And then I got older, and then my brothers, I kind of backed away and started learning how to do engineering and recording my own stuff. And I started in my basement, and I started with a studio just to record our gospel music just for us. But as I kept doing it, man, other people started coming around, wanting me to record them and do their thing. So I said, okay, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it a career. So I moved out of my basement and I moved into a building. And I've been doing it ever since, man. I've been doing it 28 years. I started in
Is that right?
1996.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I've been in the building since 1998. So thank God for that, man. So with that, man, I got a lot of experience, man. And as I've done it, man, a lot of kids would ask me, man, how you do that? I want to do that. Can I try that? How you do that? So I said, man, I got to figure out a way to help these kids and do it with music. And so, man, it's been on my heart for years, man, almost like 10 years trying to figure out how to do it, man. But I had it on my heart, man. And then I happened to end up meeting Liz Whitney. And she told me her story. Yeah. Well, she had an artist that came and recorded at the studio.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
A whole other story. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
a
is that right?
We met
Yeah.
before that, but actually, I met Chris first on Facebook,
Yep.
and I started seeing you guys promoting your shows.
Yep.
And I think when I moved back from New York City, I just, oh my God, I love reggae. I got to check this out. I didn't know who you guys were. I didn't know anything about you. And I just fell in love with you guys, man. The music, everything. I love soca. I've always loved reggae. And I just started following them around. I wouldn't go away. And realizing that even though they're like 13 years younger, we know all the same people. And I'm like, how did I not know these guys like before? You know what I mean? And it's just been so much fun. I mean, it's always a good time when you go see Static Music. And that's how we originally met. Jason, I'm sorry to encroach on your story. You go right ahead.
Well, I was saying how I met you. You know what I mean? That's kind of how that story happened. And then from there, we started talking about what her passion was and what she was doing and her work with the kids in CASA and stuff like that. And I told her what I was doing, you know what I mean? And she said that she knew how to, bridge the gap as far as taking what I'm thinking and putting it on paper and actually bringing it out to the community. And so from then on, man, we've been working together. She's been helping me get my mentoring with music together, and we've created the 501c3. And from there, man, we've been rocking it, man, and God's been blessing. And I thank God for meeting her because she knew things that I couldn't do, and I knew things that I had in my brain that I wanted to get out. But, when God brings two or three together, it's always better, man. So from now, we've been rocking, man, and we got the mentoring with music, and we're focusing on trying to get the kids and show them what I do behind the scenes to create music. It's not always about the artist. It's not always about the lead singer. It's what makes him great is his team, the artist, the engineer, the live music, the dancing, the lighting. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but we want to show them a broad aspect of what I do, and then they can learn and actually create their own businesses when they grow up. You know what I'm saying? If they like it, take a heed to it. So, like I said, that's what I had on my heart. And then when I met Liz, she can tell you a little bit about what she took from what I said and how we created Mentoring with Music.
Sure. So initially, I grew up, born and raised here, and then I spent most of my adult life in Columbus. Ended up moving to Chicago for work, and eventually New York City. But everywhere I went, I've always been involved with youth, with my church, just volunteering. Any city that I went to, And I just fell in love with kids, honestly. And I know how hard it can be to be a teenager. You know, our family went through some trials and tribulations back in the day. And I just felt like, you know, it's not easy being a teenager, even if you've got everything together and your family's all good. Teenagers, it's a tough age. So anyway, so I started doing volunteer work through my church in Columbus. And we had a program called Metro Harvest, where we ministered to the inner city kids on the north, south, east, west, and side of the inner city. And we would go to the community centers and hold classes. I was over the jobs program, but we had drug and alcohol recovery. We had GED classes, computer classes, men's and women's classes. We had everything. And, you know, we would feed everybody, have a little praise and worship, and then break out into classes. Well, that's how I started meeting these young kids in the neighborhood, in the projects. And, you know, they were always in the basketball court, inside or outside. You know, they weren't coming to our classes, but, you know, they know everybody in their neighborhood. So they saw us started coming around and wanted to know like who we were and what we were doing. And they got, you know, pretty good idea pretty quickly. Anyway, long story short, there's so many stories on that. But long story short, there was a tragedy in the neighborhood. A young boy got shot. And essentially that's when the kids in the neighborhood and I really connected. The young man that got shot, he was very new to the neighborhood and he'd only been there for 2 months. He came from Youngstown to move in with his mom who lived in Southside Columbus. So his name was Ito, E-I-T-O Moon. And he was just a lovely young man. He was 17 years old, broad daylight, helping his mom carry the groceries, you know, unpacking from the trunk. And, you know, this Crip who had a baby mama in the neighborhood saw a bunch of young bloods coming around the corner, and they were just trying to check it out and see what he was about. But he felt threatened, and he grabbed his gun that was under the bush and started spraying bullets. And Ito Moon just got it. He got it right there in that broad daylight. It was really, really, really sad. So anyway, everybody loved him, and they wanted to go to his funeral in Youngstown. So we worked it out. I'll try to, you know, give you the short version. We worked it out.
You're fine.
Yeah, 25 kids, man. We just stuffed them into like 3 or 4 cars and took them down there. And they all have their T-shirts and they Rio and everything. And the actual funeral was interesting because my Catholic minister, and the kids were kind of worried about going to Youngstown because that's where Ito was from. And his friends, they thought they were going to be blamed for Ito getting shot. They didn't know what was going to pop off, but it was peaceful. It was a wonderful service. I had the pleasure of speaking a little bit, and pastor gave an altar call at the end, and every single kid went up there and gave their lives to Christ. So, you know, there's more like side stories on all of those things, but that's the gist of it. That's what started me with kids. And then I started wherever I moved. When I moved to Chicago, I did it on the same thing, on the west side of the south side where I lived. And when I moved to New York City, I was helping in Brooklyn, Flatbush, and also the Boogie Down Bronx, you know, Bronx and everything. So a lot of experiences. My point is that everything that I did in other cities and Columbus and everything in my whole adult life, giving back to young people, I always wanted to take those life experiences and bring it back to my hometown. That's always been my dream. So as Jason and I and Chris and their family, we all got to know each other, started learning more about his background and, you know, what he does. And Jason's super humble. He doesn't always tell the whole story. So that's where I come in. See, Jason's been doing this mentoring thing, I mean, pretty much his whole life, certainly his whole adult life. You know, when he got the studio, young kids would have too much time on their hands, didn't know what to do, maybe didn't have a good role model, father wasn't around, and they'd find their way into Jason's studio. And he always had an open door and, you know, just received kids that would come in there. And then, you know, they'd be like his little buddy and he'd take them under his wing and they'd be interested in learning, you know, all the different things that in a recording studio. And he would teach them. And over the years, they became really, really, really talented young people in the studio. So those kids that have grown up now, they're men and they have their own families. Some of them are our instructors for mentoring with music. So that's where all that leads to. I mean,
wow,
nice. Paying it forward, man. And so we have the best instructors. I mean, these are Jason's friends that he's known since he was a kid, some of them, and others he helped basically raise them since they were teenagers and didn't have a father figure. And so now it's come full circle. And, Jason said he's had this vision for like over 10 years, but he's tried to get it started a few times and it just didn't work out for one reason or another. And then one day Jason was telling me about it. We were all just kind of hanging out and Jason was telling me about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a great, great, great idea. And then I kind of shared my story and I said, I would really love to help you. Anything I could do. I have nonprofit experience, but I've never started a 501c3, but we can figure it out. And that's what we did. His vision and my vision, we just got together and it was just the right time. We did all the paperwork together and we got it done. We're 501c3. And, we just had our first year anniversary. It was a tough year when you're starting from scratch. It's a tough year. We're not fully funded yet, but the funds are starting to come in and we're applying for grants and we do accept donations on our website and in-kind gifts as well. Again, our website's there at the bottom and there's a donate page for that. But the bottom line is Jason's heart for these kids and, mine also, it was just the perfect combination to come together in a business setting. And he being the artist, he's so talented and has so many years and years and years of experience. So he's the creator, he's the visionary, the creative. And then, my background actually started out in the legal field as a legal secretary and then a paralegal. Did that for many, many years. And then I worked at Nationwide as an executive assistant, then switched over into the IT side, became a project coordinator with Nationwide. And that's right when the crash happened. I think it was like October 2008. And our project got canceled and there were no jobs available. I looked at Chicago, everywhere. There was nothing. And so I just looked at, to see what was going on in New York City. And I got a lot of interview opportunities there. So I packed my little bags, just went to the big city and eventually ended up working there. And I've worked for many different companies on Wall Street and the big banks and brokerage firms and have a lot of experience as an IT project manager. So I came back to Lima to take care of my mom because she had cancer and she's not with us anymore. About 4 years ago, she passed, but I got to spend the last 10 years of her life with her. And man, those were the best times we've ever had, to be honest. And it was just really great. So now I feel like it's my time to do what I always wanted to do is take my experiences and give it back to our community. And Jason invited me in to be his business partner and to do that. So I feel like that is a blessing from God. It is a dream come true. It's a desire of my heart, and we're actually doing it. So we're proud of Jason for trusting me and all the work we've done so far. We've come a long way in a short time.
Did I hear you say that you just celebrated your first anniversary as a nonprofit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. But you've been actually sort of doing it for like 10 years.
Longer than that. I think ever since you had the building. Right?
Yeah, ever since I've been doing it in my house, I ain't gonna lie. They would come here, next door neighbors, stuff like that. And then, like I said, it got too busy in my house. That's what made me actually decide to put it in a building and actually take it serious. So at first it was just awesome. For our own thing. And then I said, look, man, this is becoming bigger than me. So that's what made me make it my own business.
That's so cool.
And then here comes Liz.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, hey, just like you said, Liz, things happen for a reason. You went out and got all that experience and all that stuff, and now you're back home putting it to use. So that's fantastic. It's
so just
the way things happen.
Right, exactly. So, he's got the creative side, I've got the administrative side, and, we've, reached out for help for things that we didn't know, or we would just figure it out. And, so we still have a lot to learn, but we've learned a lot in a short time. And, we started talking about this and really formed this charity on October 24th, a year ago. And then we got incorporated in December of 2024. So that was our original sort of like 1 year anniversary, but our incorporation anniversary is coming up on, I think it's December 10th, I believe. But anyway.
So you guys are going to invite me to the actual incorporation party, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll have
I think it's a great testament to kindness. You guys both have been preparing this your whole lives the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Not it all led to this.
Been doing it natural.
Yeah, right. That's so true. And we should have everybody come to the studio and have a little 1 year celebration for real.
Yeah, I actually went to his studio to meet him a couple weeks ago, man. It's an impressive looking place, man. I love the vibe of it. It just feels like a creative place
Space,
to
yeah.
be.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah,
much, man. That's exactly
yeah.
what I wanted. A place to be able to just open your minds, let loose, and kind of get what's in your heart out, and just be able to just chill. You know what I'm saying? And create. That's the whole thing is to create.
Chill and create. No, that's fantastic.
And so
Now,
much creative energy has been there for years and years and years and years. I mean, you can't duplicate the vibe that you feel in there. You know what I mean? Like you could go to any building, but this is a really, really special place. And I'm so grateful that Jason allows us to have the classes there because the kids love it. They just love it.
yeah, I mean, I was looking at some of the videos where you're teaching the kids with the instructors there, and you can just see it in their faces. They are digging what they do.
Oh,
And it's so nice to see kids in there chilling and creating as opposed to standing there sitting there on their phones playing video games and all that.
I love seeing when the light comes on. I can always tell when the light comes on and they start to create, and they're not even worried, like you said, about their phones, and they're talking to their peers and trying to figure out stuff. Like I love that whole process of creating. Man, it's great. And then even just the lyrics from that to the music, from the music to the in the booth creating. I mean, the whole thing is a great process, man. And then when it's done, you feel so achieved. And that's what I want them to feel achieved, that they actually created something that's going to be here forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they learned to songwrite because of Jason, and everything that they've created is their own work. You know, they polish it a little bit, the instructors and Jason, but they learn how to songwrite and the lyrics just like Jason is saying. And, you know, our original goal was to focus on at-risk youth, but we wouldn't turn any kid away. So there's a mixture. Nobody knows who's who or what the background is or who struggles with this and that. And that's the way we love it because honestly, you know, I mean, you never know what somebody's going through, but these kids, some of them are really going through it and they thrive. They love to come to class. They love Jason. They love the instructors, and they form some really strong relationships. A lot of the kids that came to our first session in the summer came back for our fall session, and it was like a little reunion, and they were already friends. And
is that right?
I just want to keep that going because it's
I want to go for however long they want to go. I want to create new me's. I want to create people that are having their own studios or their own sessions. I want that to continue, man. Just keep that process going, man, because I hate to say it, but this AI stuff is kind of taking away the creativity part. They can never create, but they can always duplicate. But I want people that need to create. You know what I'm saying?
Now, when you're talking about coming back for a session, how long is a session?
Well, that depends on you and how long you take.
Well, is that right?
Yeah, because some people.
I didn't know if it was like a 3-month period or.
Well, like I said, music takes a long time to create, man. So sometimes people have jobs. Sometimes people can't, you know what I mean, take the time to do it. So they take a part and they'll do this part, and then they'll come back, write this part, and think about something else, want to take this part out. That's why if you watch the industry, it takes 2 years just for one song to be created.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you get it right. So, and then you're working on a full project, man, it can take a long time. So it just depends on how you work and how you move and availability and all that.
Sure. Our program, the way we started it out, is an 8-week program. So we initially wanted 2 nights a week, but we were just kind of talked about it and thought that was a little much for the kids to handle. So we scale it back to 1 day a week from 3 to 5, originally from 2 to 4, just a couple of hours. And we had workbooks created with our brand and, you know, just all the classes that we do. We do artist development, we do audio engineering, the whole music production from A to Z. We do live instruments, we do graphics, we do stage presence, stage performance, music management. I mean, you name it. I mean, anything that is in the studio that is a real job that takes a real skill set is what these guys teach, because they want these kids to know that these are real jobs. Like if you stick with Jason and his crew and learn this stuff, just like the kids that grew up in his studio, these are real paying jobs. And you don't have to go to Austin, Texas, or Nashville, or California, or New York. You can make so much money right here in Lima because most of the stuff is done digitally anyway. You know, if you're, and Jason will tell you about what he's done in terms of his creative work and what he's sold, you know, your jingles and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, been doing it a long time, man. Like I said, we create all types of stuff from church music to jingles on TV for QP, stuff like that. We create background music for plays, anything to do with music. People that need to come out for their football nights and cheerleaders, anything. We do it all when it comes to creating music.
Wow,
So
that's
exciting.
awesome, man.
And tell them some of the artists that you've worked with. I mean, I know you don't like to brag. It's not bragging, but just so people know that you're in Lima, but that doesn't mean, you're not in the community, industry.
Me and my partners, they created a track for Snoop Dogg, E40. I got partners that work with Five Finger Death Punch. I got people that do crossover music in Trinidad, Jamaica, down in Florida. So it's very wide range.
Yeah, I was gonna say Five Finger Death Punch isn't soca.
Nah, that's rock and roll, man. But that's, like I said, that's behind the boards part as far as mixing, mastering, and I even have my cousin. He's cooks. You know what I'm saying? He's a chef, but he does it in the music field. So, like I said, all options are open when it comes to creating and to being able to rub shoulders with these artists just by what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes,
And a lot of the information about the classes and all that stuff, you can find that at mentoringwithmusic.org that I believe is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, right? I didn't encourage you to go to that. I took a quick peek at that. They got a lot of videos.
Yeah.
They got a lot of the performance pieces of some of the artists actually in the studio creating. Yeah. And it's awesome. That's where I was talking about Juliana.
Yeah.
A couple kids that that he's working with were creating a song. I think it was
What's Your Purpose?
Yeah, What's Your Purpose? And again, that's a great title. I mean, that's even something to get them to focus on what is your purpose.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
They wrote all those lyrics. Those girls are so talented. My goodness.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You give it a title. Some people write first and then they give it a title. I like to get the title first so I can focus on it, but however you do it. And I gave them that title and they've been rocking to it, man. And I love the creative experience.
Oh man, you can just see the magic in their eyes as they're in the studio, man. They're digging the heck out of that.
Oh yeah.
So our program is really taking off, and we're getting a lot of community support. We've been building relationships with community partners and community agencies and other corporations and whatnot. So we're getting the word out there. Hometown Stations has been really good to us, and they did a PSA. They've done a few spots at the studio, and we've been on TV with the mayor. Just a lot of really cool stuff has been going on. And just recently, it's not 100% developed yet, but we do have a new partnership with the Juvenile Detention Center. And we're going to be taking the program into JDC to these kids.
Wow, that's
Jason,
awesome.
tell them about the tour and the kids and all that.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Like I said, we went in there and did a tour and was talking business about setting this up so I can have the kids kind of start the program in there. And if they act right, they can come in there and, like I said, create and write when they're by themselves. But when they get free time, they can come in the studio. We're going to set up there. And it was so great seeing their eyes light up when we told them that we're going to be coming there. We did a little tour there and just kind of checked out the pods and checked out the space. And when they knew we were coming and going to give them this outlet, they were amazed and they were happy. And they spoke about it. Like they knew about some of the guys even knew about a little bit of some of the guys I work with already. So that kind of bridge right there was great, man. I loved it. So
I knew that they would recognize you. That's so funny because I bet they'll know who you are. And when we met them at the end of the tour, there were 4 young teenagers, 14, 15, something like that. And they were like, aren't you, a visitation? Oh, I think I know you. And does Bando work for you? I mean, they were so excited. So that foundation is already there. Like they already trust Jason and his people. So it's super cool.
That is awesome. And again, that's a whole thing that those kids need is just some kind of creative outlet.
Exactly.
A lot of them probably just acting out of boredom and all that stuff. As Liz was talking about, tough to be a teenager back then. Could you imagine now?
Man,
that's got to be
really glad I grew up when I did, man, because life is different now than we was when we were younger. And I know it's probably different than it was when y'all was younger. So
very much so.
There's not that much difference now. Come on. When y'all was younger.
I mean, it's tough being a teenager, but now we didn't have social media back then, so that's a big change.
All of that.
But anyway, so essentially what we're doing is we're going to be, taking the program into JDC. But when the kids get out of JDC, we have a transitioning program to where we continue the mentoring, because that's the big deal. Like anything else, if you get out of any institution, whether it's drug and alcohol recovery or, prison or whatever, you have to like reintegrate with society. You have to figure out how to live your life now. And in my opinion, that's where the biggest support is needed. Yep. So we want to make sure that these kids have a smooth transition and they know that they still have support and that Jason's going to be there for them. We're all going to be there for them.
Yep.
And, if they stick with Jason, like you said, I mean, they could get real jobs doing this stuff in the studio.
Man, I'll tell you what, it's like an untapped resource right here in sunny Lima, Ohio that I was unaware of until you guys told me about it.
Yeah.
Man, that's just awesome. I mean, music is, a passion of mine. Unfortunately, I suck at it, but
he doesn't.
Hey.
But yeah, I'm going to get in the studio. You're going to maybe auto-tune me and make me sound
exactly. I can make you sound however you want to sound.
Don't let her fool you, man.
Go ahead and start right now.
Okay. Nice.
John.
Okay. Guitar, huh?
Something.
So anyway, going back to Jason and his businesses, how does SUNY Records, is that just a separate recording? Nothing to do with mentoring with music, but it's just the place that you do your business at?
Yeah,
so SUNY Records, you got business, make albums and all that.
Yeah, SUNY Records is the record company and the recording studio, which I do and run on a daily basis. Mentoring with Music is a program that we are running, and we're running it through SUNY Records as of now. But of course, we're trying to grow and expand, and never know, I might have a school later on. You know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
Our ultimate goal is to push Mentoring with Music as a 501c3 and get out in the community. And then hopefully we'll get to the point we'll have a RV with a mobile studio and we can pull up to them and we can pull up to events and stuff like that. So we have dreams, man. We want to get to the point to where it's global and I can go to different cities, states, and maybe even the world, man, and just show these people like what they can do and what they can learn.
Oh, man, that's a great goal.
Duplicated, as we grow, we can create more Mentoring with Music locations across, not only the U.S., but, in Trinidad. I know that's the dream of Jason's, to take it back to his home country. And, because all it is, I mean, if you have skills, it doesn't even matter what industry. If you have skills and you can find a teenager, there you go, right? If you want to, if it's in your heart. So, because the Hendersons are so, musically inclined and creative, and everybody already knows Jason and his studio, SUNY Records. So now they're just, putting the dots together, connecting the dots with SUNY Records and Mentoring with Music. So it's really starting to take off now.
Man, I bet your family reunions are a ball.
Yeah, we got to rent a small city for that.
And the holidays,
yeah, we got to definitely rent halls and big places because they can't hold us all, man. It's incredible, and I love it, man. I'm so glad to be a part of this family and how I was raised and all of that. And it's just a different outlook on life, and I love it, man.
Yeah. Speaking of family, we would be so remiss if we didn't mention his better half, Regina Henderson, his wife.
My wife.
How long have you guys been married or been together?
Man, we've been 28 years.
28 years. You don't ever hear that. Yeah. And so she's the vice president of her 501c3, and she has a full-time job. She's a school teacher. But she definitely gets involved as much as she can, and she gives us some great creative ideas, and we include her as much as she can be included. But talk about Regina for a little bit, because she's like the backbone of this whole thing.
For sure, man. I met her actually my high school sweetheart, man. So we met in school, library, sent her a little note, and we've been rocking ever since, man. I got 3 beautiful children, 2 boys. They live in San Antonio, Texas. I got a beautiful daughter. She still lives here, but she wants to go down here with her brothers. And we got 3 kids. And my wife, she's the school teacher, and she loves kids, man. She's been rocking with kids for a long time, ever since she was in high school. So it's kind of like a funny thing that both of our programs are focused around kids. You know what I'm saying? So maybe when those kids get older, they can come take my class. So we're going from ages 8 to whenever, but 8 to 18 pretty much right now. And then we got the older adult classes once they, figure out life.
And
now, is Regina musical as well?
No, she just backs me, man. Like she's been with me since
Oh
I
my
first started. You know what I mean? She helps me, and then if I have gigs and stuff and flights and stuff like that, she's with me and make sure everything is good and right.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe she played bass or something.
No, but she knows what good music sounds like.
Yeah,
She'll tell me if I'm wrong.
I mean, no, she is so creative. So maybe she doesn't run a studio, but she is the perfect helpmate for Jason because she knows exactly what he needs and what to do. And she's really, I should say, like an expert administrator. You know, she gets stuff done. She don't have to tell her twice. She thinks about stuff on her own. And she just, you know, she's a great helpmate to Jason. And what a great example to these kids because nobody stays married these days. You know what I mean? Right. And I mean, to have their example for these young kids that families not only can stick together, but they need to. You need a mom and a dad in the home.
Yep. That's true. So now, from this year that you've been doing the mentoring with music and the 10 years that you've been doing it unofficially before you got the business started, is there any personal highlights or stories that you would like to share from your experience from that? Anybody who just sort of became big? Is there anybody that we might have heard of or?
On the studio side, maybe. You know what I mean? I've worked, like I said earlier, I worked with a lot of people as far as doing tracks and behind the scenes and stuff like that. But I've had people that started young with me and they're grown now and they work with me in the studio and they're actually some of my professors. So they actually have actual jobs and they actually have actual things that they do coming from learning with SUNY Records and now mentoring with music. So
and your lead
in the process, we just have a name for it now.
Tell them about your lead instructor, Will.
Well, Big Will, man, he's my guy, my right-hand man. We've been friends since I was young. He was with me when we was in the church, man, and going to school. He's actually my cousin, but he's been with me, man. He plays for the #1 church here. He's a musical director, and he plays, like I said, we made tracks for like Snoop Dogg, stuff like that. He did that. He helped did that. Him and his brother did some production there with the studio for them. So he's my right-hand man, and he knows music. He can teach you anything. He's the #1 keyboardist, #1 musical director in Lima, and he's my right-hand man. And actually, he's going to be running this thing, you know what I'm saying, once it gets going, because it's going to get to that point. And he knows what he's doing.
And that's the kind of talent we're talking about. I mean, if you add all the years that Jason and Will and his other instructors, whether he, helped them since they were a teenager or knew them since they were a kid, these are seasoned musicians. And I'm going to say like probably over 70 years combined, right, Jay?
Oh,
maybe more than that, at least.
Is that right? Wow.
That's what the kids are getting. Yeah, this is really cool. You can't replace these guys. I mean,
and Jimmy Gore is part of it with the minor blues as well. Actually, I got a schedule to do an interview with him and the minor blues. But how did you get involved with Jimmy?
Man, I've known Jimmy for a long time, man. He's been playing that guitar and been rocking music for a while. Just me doing music as being a musician in the city. And then he had his program going and we kind of linked up together, and he's been teaching kids on the live side, you know what I'm saying? And I'm teaching kids on the audio engineering side. So we just kind of put it together, man. And his band joined up with us, and man, it's like I said, everything is working out so good right now, man. I'm amazed at how far we've come in so little time.
John and I have known Jimmy since we were in high school. And so,
was he playing back then?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I don't even know if I should say this, John, or not. But anyway, my high school boyfriend was the lead singer of the band that Jimmy was in, and they were called the Mad Hatters. And remember Doug McKinnon? Yeah. Anyway, he was a lead singer and a drummer, and Jimmy would play the 12 string and he would just wail. I mean, it was just so impressive way, way, way back then. And that was like 80, 81, around there, 82. And so he's been around, and I guess he's been playing for over like 55 years, he said. And he travels across the country. Yep. He does a lot. He's put together like several, at least 11, probably more tribute bands that, you get to hear the upper lounge in an Old City Prime. And so we told him about this program. And since he's always mentored kids, and I forget what generation he's on as far as the minor blues, but every time they grow up, he gets another group. So the one that he has now, they're pretty new and they play really, really well together. And he said that we could, as an honorary house band, they could be mentoring with music's house band. So they had their very first gig at the Jamboree at Spring in Maine, and they wowed the crowd, man. They did so good. Yeah, and they played at our fall festival. Tell them about that, Jason.
Yep, they came out and played in the parking lot at the studio. We had a fall festival with me and my sister and grab bags, and you'll be interviewing them later. But it was a great festival, and they came and they just rocked out. And a lot of people were surprised because how young they were, but they are great musicians. So it gave the kids inspiration to what they're going to sound like, as they keep working.
Yeah, we're going to teach the kids.
That's an amazing program.
To do, stage setup and tear down and roadie. They need to learn all of that so they can practice with this young band whenever they have live shows and learn how to do that.
And if I'm not mistaken, I came and watched them play in your parking lot that day, and they were tearing it up. And I was talking to Jimmy a little bit, and the lead singer is Jimmy's granddaughter.
Yeah. Yep. Pamela.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we got a lot of generational talent right here in Summer, Ohio, don't we?
Yeah, and that's what we're supposed to do. Keep it going, man, and pass it down to the next because we don't want it to die.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
Acts of kindness from both of you. That's for sure. So anything else you guys want to talk about as far as this goes? Is there any, I'll bet probably as you're watching these students, you're talking about seeing the light in their eyes or when the light comes on. That's got to be fulfilling when you see that and you watch somebody get it and they feel the power of learning something new. That's got to be very rewarding, doesn't it? Yeah,
it is. And the health benefits are just undeniable. Like I said in the beginning, we like to focus on kids that are at risk, that really are struggling and need help. And we talked about before, we have a mix. Some kids are really going through it and other kids are just sort of going through their regular life, but they're struggling maybe in other ways, just becoming a teenager. But we have a couple kids from Ohio Rise, and just one little, story that I'll tell real quick is, I won't say his name, but he's just a darling. And he came in with his mom. He's from Ohio Rise, and he deals with severe anxiety and anger issues and, violence sometimes. But I don't know what it's called, but he has anxiety to the point where he can't control his body. Like he just, keeps moving really fast and everything. Anyway, first day he came in, Jimmy was teaching the guitar class. And this young man, his mom sat him down, and he was like in the back of the class. Mom had to go to a doctor's appointment, and he started getting really anxious and just really, moving a lot. And I texted her and I said, is he okay? Is this his norm? Because it doesn't bother me at all, but I just want to see if he needs anything. And she said, well, he does that when he feels like insecure or is really nervous or, doesn't know what to do. And I said, should I go sit beside him? And she said, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So I did, and it helped a little bit, but I was just really concerned about him. I'm going to say 15 minutes later, the class ended, and they all went back into the studio to get ready for the music production class. So I went back there, I'm probably like maybe 15, 20 minutes later to check on him. Jason, you remember he was freestyling. Yeah. This kid that was so afraid and couldn't control his body movements because of anxiety and all of this and has all these problems. I mean, it's like he's done it his whole life. We have never had a problem with him. He's like our star student, and he freestyles. We've got him on several recordings, and he's Jason's buddy, to be real honest. He's our best student.
Yeah, man, he's a good kid, man, and I just love that he feels safe there and feels like he belongs there. You know what I mean? There's no judging, and he just went in there and just said what he had to get off his chest and kind of gave him a chance to breathe and just be himself for a little bit. And I loved it, man. I love it.
That's what it's all about right there, isn't it?
Yeah,
man. That's 100% what it's about. It's just letting them know that, life is good. It's not always going to be bad. And music is just like I said, is a vehicle to mentor these kids.
That's right.
That's all we're doing is using it to mentor these kids.
And just to show them that their circumstances, whatever they're going through, it doesn't define their future. Nope. It doesn't define their identity. Those are their circumstances. Has nothing to do with them. It's usually adults that are going through something and they're in the middle of it. So when they hear stuff like that from adults and they see other kids that feel real shy and nervous, but then they start to loosen up, then everybody loosens up. And that's basically what happened, right, Jason?
Yep, exactly. Just got loose. He knew that he was amongst, his peers and that they weren't going to judge him. That's what I feel.
Right.
And once he got that known, then he was cool.
Yeah.
He was cool.
For sure. And he came back for fall classes, you know, so.
That's what I can see when I get on your website and look at some of those videos. Those kids are just truly into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, man, they got to appreciate the kindness of the whole project. And, you know, that's why I wanted to highlight this project because, I mean, it just hits home with me being a music lover. But, you know, the kindness that, you know, I'm trying to spread with Doing AOK. I felt you guys were natural for this story. So, Liz, thanks for introducing me to Jason.
My pleasure.
Jason, we're going to keep in touch and we're going to do further stories on this. I want to keep up on this for sure.
Thank you,
your
man.
families and all the other little side projects they got. Let's talk about those in future episodes of Doing AOK with JB. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys?
No, sir, man. Just like I said, make sure you tune in and check us out, mentoringwithmusic.org, and we're here for it.
Yeah, we got big things coming up, so stay tuned for sure.
Yeah. One final thing: is there anything that people can do to assist, or can they go to the website and see how they can help support you?
Absolutely. I mean, we of course are accepting monetary gifts, but we're also really in need of gently used instruments of all different kinds. Guitars, keyboards, microphones, headsets. Because as our class continues to grow, you know, we obviously have enough equipment to get them started, but more kids, we need more equipment. And we've got a few new MacBooks and that you need to run Logic Pro and Pro Tools on and whatnot. And so that's great. But we definitely need to focus on in-kind gifts. And we're thinking about having like an in-kind gift festival or something at the studio. So anybody, you know, from around the region could bring their gently used instruments and donate them. And because we're a 501c3, you know, then you get the EIN number and it's a tax write-off, you know. So it's exciting. And we're just, you know, we've got a lot of support in the community. We just got to keep getting the word out.
Yeah, well, I'll do my part and help get the word out. And there it is at the bottom of the screen, mentoringwithmusic, not .com, but .org. Make sure you put that .org on it for sure, right? I think Liz said if you go to the .com, it takes you to some other place in San Diego.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So make sure you do the .org. Well, it was my pleasure to have you guys on today, and I'll do what I can to help because I love the project. So
thank you.
With that said, I need you guys to do one thing for me.
What's that?
Can you do that? I'm going to make this part of every Doing AOK with JB. I'm going to say, how you doing? And you're going to say, we're doing AOK.
I like that.
Can you do that for me?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. All right. And, you know, actually what I'm going to try to do in the future, I got an idea in the back of my head. You guys are old enough to remember Friends, right?
Yeah.
Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah.
Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
What was his tagline? How you doing?
How you doing?
So I'm declaring it right now, Matt LeBlanc. I'm looking to get you on this show because I want you to say, how you doing?
AOK.
We're doing AOK.
Right.
So ready? 1, 2, 3. How you guys doing?
AOK.
All right. Peace, guys. Thanks for the episode.
Thank you, John.
Peace.